This is a cement sink and it broke. My customer wants a walnut sink. Now I'm not totally sure about this one. This is a first. This is probably one of my hardest builds to date. Let's get into it.
Yep.
Just need one more arm here. So first I really want to squeeze the middle to push the glue to the outside before I clamp the outside to help allow for squeeze out. A little bit hard in this situation. So these are 2 inches thick and I staggered them with a 1 inch thick wide piece so that each one of the seams meets the center of the next one. That is a chunk of walnut. 18 by 18 by 7 inches thick. I'm gonna use this coring system, the McNaughton coring system, which I've never used before, to try to maximize the material out of this block to make him a few matching bowls with the sink. So I'm gonna practice on this beautiful Alaskan spalted birch log that I found on property. But first, let's show you how we got here. So this is our off-the-grid property here in Alaska. And there's a lot of good birch that needs to be salvaged for knife handles and for bowls. So since we're turning this walnut sink and have a new coring system that I've never used, I am here to harvest some lumber to get some practice into coring and turning this bowl. This is the best fire starter. It's literally like lighting paper towels or even better. It's real sappy, oily, great fire starter.
Whoa.
That's a good one.
Whoa. Is that how we call it?
That's pretty good.
But you plastic.
Yeah, we're gonna make bowls with it. This is gonna be Camp DeVo's. This is where I'm gonna rent this out for secluded RV camping.
So I will help you with the limit.
Okay, you tell me which one to lift. You know, I was wondering why this thing was clogged. Look at this. What in the heck kind of sawdust is that? So I went through and milled up all of the birch. I have two 16-inch rounds here to practice coring on, and I milled up all the birch into these blocks. Bunch of blocks here. Now we're going to seal it up in the fish tote, and this is going to be a long process of trying to spalt the birch. Now I'm going to turn a tendon here. Made quite the mess, and that's just turning the bottom part. So I made a tendon, made this one a little bit fat. So I made a tendon here. We're going to take this Vic Mark 150, which is, I believe, the biggest chuck that Vic Mark makes. And we're going to set up for coring here. All right, so here's the tricky part to all this. I did say I don't know what I'm doing, right? All right. So I could be missing some here. I'm not totally sure. This is all brand new, but it's been sitting for a year. When I ordered it, it did take a year for this to come in. Here's the small, medium, and large coring units, depending on, you know, the size of bowl you're coring. I first opened this up and I tried to core it with this shaft. And you can see this shaft was not long enough for what I actually needed for my lathe. Now I called Leith Valley, I talked to their customer service, they said this is the longest one that McNaughton made, so I'm not totally sure. So this height didn't allow me to reach the center when I tried it, so hopefully this will work now. I did buy this system because apparently it gives you a little more room for creativity on the bowl shape that you're gonna create, but it's a harder system to learn. So we're gonna give it a shot. The other post did not allow me to reach center. That's hot. Okay. But yeah, we got a little bowl. I really felt like I was going too deep in there. But I wasn't going too deep. This one's actually really thick. This one overall came out pretty good, I think. It'll be quite a while before these will be ready to turn. So I'm going to seal up the end grain, and these have quite a while to go before they dry. But that was good practice. I wouldn't say I'm ready for that yet. So I just scored another practice run off camera here. A little bit more shallow, a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit similar to that block as far as the shallowness goes. Now it's a bigger block, but I'm extremely worried about this. It doesn't matter if I mess up. This is a big deal. Now this is like $900 worth of walnut. I cannot mess up on this one. Shavings are getting a little better here. I can't tell you how nervous I am about this one. We are ready for this. Rushed it at the end there, but that thing was heavy. So, man, this thing looks good. I'm kind of terrified to turn this thing. Should make some clocks out of this or something. I don't know, what do you guys think I should make out of this thing? Whew, that's close. So I got my center marked here. Close enough. Now I have picked a side for this. One is top and one is bottom because of a couple of knots that I'm going to place in, that I've already placed in the bottom. I'm going to turn a mortise in the face of this bowl for this Vic Mark 150 chuck. Then we're going to flip it around, and then I will turn the bottom of the bowl to the shape of what this is going to be. Now I'm using these coal jaws. I don't know if this is the correct thing to do for something that's this big. This is pretty massive and pretty heavy. But I have it locked in good with the tailstock, and I'm only going to be turning a small mortise here before we flip it around and put it in the chuck. She's on there. Okay, so now we're gonna turn the bottom side of the sink here. So I only sanded to 180 because we're going to put a penetrating epoxy in here. So I sent a video to my customer of the profile of the sink and he liked it. So now we're going to core this thing. I was a little worried during glue up, you know, that I might have some gaps in here gluing each panel to each other. But the glue lines came out really good. Now just to make sure, the existing faucet and sink drain are a very tight tolerance, and we're within a 1/16, so that should be pretty good. Did you hear that? Yeah, I was going to drop this thing on the ground to film it breaking, but I didn't even have to do anything. It literally just fell apart. You guys ever work on a project where you're ready to go and you just stare at it forever because you're apprehensive about starting it, or just worried that you're not prepared yet to do it? That's about where I'm at. If I mess this up, I am not making another one of these. It's just an awfully big kerf, you know, on this. Okay, it's already much harder than turning greenwood. It really wants to catch. Yep. You know, I've tried to do a bunch of research on these. I have a feeling these aren't meant for dry hardwood. This is only meant for really green wood. That the kerf on this thing is so thick, it's super catchy. At this point, as much as I would love to get some extra bowls out of that thing, it's not worth the risk. So hopefully I can salvage it. Oh man. Oh man. It's gonna take me a lot of work to salvage this. It got beat up. getting late. I'm gonna go home, clean my shorts, and come back tomorrow. All right, so we're not gonna core this thing. Not worth it. I'll sharpen my chisel, do a light pass going across. I'll probably, so the mortise is still good here. Lose an 1/8 inch overall, but I should be okay. I'm gonna turn a new foot, re-sand the whole outside, and then we're gonna make a lot of sawdust. It's gonna be a big waste. We're gonna turn this thing into a sink. All right, she came out really good. Disaster averted. So because this is a sink and it has to be exact dimensions, and I have to punch through this, that means I'm gonna finish this last so I can fudge my thickness dimension on the bottom where it's not seen versus on the inside of the bowl, which will be harder to do. Keep calling it a bowl. Sink, sink. Feeling much better. It's kind of sad, but all this material that's in the center is gonna go to waste, but I'm happy we're not coring it. I cannot find my drill chuck so that I can drill into this thing and find out my exact depth so I know the curvature that I'm gonna give this bowl. I cannot find it. I looked everywhere. It should have been on my cart, but it's not there. Huh. She's much lighter. It really is hard to figure out where you're at on the depth with this foot, with the bottom of the bowl being concave and then it having a foot on there. All right, so that's a little deeper than I expected. So I'm gonna flip this around, put the coal jaws back on it, and then I'm gonna turn the inside of the foot to the depth of what the bottom should be so that I can see what this thickness actually is. Now this being a sink and it's made out of wood, that's pretty conflicting, so it's gonna need a lot of epoxy. So this is the first part of the equation, the total boat penetrating epoxy. So this is a 2-to-1 ratio. I always mark the container here so I don't mess it up. Now I believe you can mix this about 50-50, up to 50-50 with lacquer thinner. Yeah, that's a very thin viscosity. It'll work good. I'm gonna get it all over my chuck. And we're gonna do 3 total of these coats of the penetrating epoxy and then 3 more top coats. All right, so I came in this morning and I had a scare. I went first to touching the leftover epoxy and it was very sticky. And I started touching around on this thing and it was really sticky, and that was about 12 hours. It's really cold in here. I had the shop at 64. It is winter here in Alaska. Put this little heater on it for a couple hours today and it's nice and hard. So yesterday I put on the 3rd penetrating coat and I sanded it down mostly to wood once again. And there is no air bubbles or anything like that, so this thing is ready to go for the top coats. 3 top coats probably. So we're gonna use the Total Boat High Performance top coat. I've been texting back and forth with David Adamson and getting so much advice on this because I don't know what I'm doing with the epoxy. This is the first time doing a bowl with epoxy. I've done 3 coats of the high performance top coat, but I've had to sand them back off because I've had some errors. To say this has been a learning experience might be a little bit of an understatement. This is hard to do. Denatured alcohol. 40. of these for $30. These are the good ones that David recommended to me. I'll have a link below. These introduce a lot of bubbles, apparently, so that sucked. And these cheapies, the bristles just keep falling off, and they don't spread the epoxy near as well as this. The 2-to-1 pumps on here work really well. Tell you what, it's been, I don't know, a month since last time I filmed for you guys because I've been messing up. Since the last time we filmed, I've probably done another 10 coats over the past month. It's been brutal. But I'm happy to say she's done, she's finished on this side. Now we just have to take it off and do the bottom, which should be relatively easy. It won't be spinning. So a big problem that I had was we went from winter to summer and I turned off the heater. Well, the summer, early spring is still pretty cold. So it was cold enough that I was getting a lot of fish eyes. Now I still do have a couple, but I heated up the shop to 70 degrees. I heated up the sink with a heat gun. I heated up the epoxy as well, and it went on much, much nicer. Back and forth with David on what might be the issues. That's what we came up with. This has been a huge learning process. I would have a hard time making another one of these. But let's finish this thing. So over the past couple of days, I haven't shown it on camera, but I used the N3 Nano ceramic finish, the hard coat, 2 coats of that, and 2 coats of the top coat. I had such a hard time with epoxy, just a little extra protection. Let's go install this thing. There we are.
Wow.
Pretty.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Man, I'm sorry this thing's been such a hassle for you.
Oh, I feel bad.
Seemed like such a good idea.
You ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Final destination?
Yeah? Do you remember which way it was?
Yeah, I picked it up and I flipped it just like that, so.
It's definitely beautiful, man. True art. Very cool. I just want to turn that this way a little bit. Like it.
Well, I'm glad you're happy
Beautiful.
with it.